I find a lot of people who are feeling frustrated or overwhelmed in sort of revisiting how they've perceived the horse, in trying to find a balance between wanting to acknowledge the horse's feedback and behavior without it feeling like a dictatorship in the old ways of doing things, that a lot of times they are missing the fundamental basics of recognizing, acknowledging, and understanding horse behavior without imposing, I'm going to say, a human emotional filter. So a lot of times people are taught horses just do that. They're assigned human emotions. He's just being stubborn. He's just being this. He's being that. And there's a learning curve where people have to step back and let go of all those things they've been taught and have a clean slate of learning how to actually read the horse's behavior. And I always say the horse is always communicating. It's a matter of if the human is listening. And so one of the challenges I find is that people want to jump to the how do I help my horse, how do I make things better, without ever actually acknowledging if they are, I'm going to say, their interpretation of what is occurring is actually accurate, or if it's based on things that they've been conditioned to think based on their previous training, traditional training, we might say. So after we're learning to acknowledge the horse's feedback, it then gives us direction. It gives us specificity to recognize where maybe there's holes in the horse's education, maybe there's things that he's tolerated for years but he's never actually been okay with. Many people are surprised with like the been there, done that, especially like high competition horses, where when you give them a choice, when you go to do basic things like catching or leading or tacking, and you are assessing the horse's feedback versus the obedience, a lot of these horses are really not okay with much of what they've tolerated despite years of compliance. So there also has to be a availability to not have assumptions that everything we've already done is fine and we're just going to like suddenly change things and move forward now. But we have to recognize that as we learn to recognize the horse's behavior and acknowledge it, that then that is going to give us the direction of where to start. So it's not just randomly jumping in hoping that like what we're trying or what we decide to work on is going to magically fix whatever it is that's going on with our horse. The horse will tell us. And this is where, again, we have to recognize how often we have but my horse should be fine with that, but I've already done this many times, but he used to X, Y, and Z in his compliance. And now that we are really, I'm going to say, having an honest conversation, maybe we're hearing answers from our horse that trigger us emotionally. And we have to realize that all of the horse's feedback has nothing to do with us. It's not about pleasing us. It's not about fulfilling our emotions. It's not about giving us an escape from reality. The horse is clearly reflecting what he is currently experiencing. So if there's anticipation, fear, defensiveness, avoidance, we have to believe him and address him. And the more that we do so, when it's at a subtle, reasonable level, the more influence we can have to give him new, I'm going to say, thoughts and experiences with the human that replace the previously triggering ones.